Welcome to A Sex Worker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the answer to life, the universe, and everything is sex workers. As it should be. Today, I'm coming at you with a Valentine's Day themed episode. I don't normally do Valentine's Day, but this year, my friends put the spirit in me. I felt all sorts of feelings. I just was surrounded by so much love with my friends. Like, one of my friends sent me flowers, y'all. So, love. It doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be all different kinds of love, and I'm here for that. Take back the holiday from the corporations. Not even take it back. They came up with it. Let's steal it from them. They steal from us enough. Anyway, that's my little rant about Valentine's Day. I had the absolute privilege of, I say this every time, but it's true. I'm honored every time I interview a guest. And this time, I got to interview two at the same time. I interviewed a couple, Savannah Grace and Mountain Man Link. And it was a pleasure, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So we're just going to jump right in. Here we go. Awesome. Link and Savannah and Link, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey.
Well, of course. Thanks for having us.
So I normally start the episode with the guest introducing themselves with their name, pronoun, where they're located, and what kind of sex work they do. I don't know what sort of order y'all want to go in. I haven't done a couples episode before, so I'll let you take it from here.
That doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I talk all the time. You should go ahead.
Well, I go by Link, and pronouns he, him for me. And I am a full service sex worker, and also I create content, although I'm currently taking a short break from making content, but I am looking forward to getting back into that. And I do some technical stuff in the world as well, but I don't know if I count that. So. Cool.
Hi, I'm Savannah. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a former stripper, and I am a full service sex worker and also a content creator. And I make content with Linky Poo here and other folks. So yeah, that's us. Oh, and where are we based? Well, we're a couple, so we are based in the same place.
Yes.
We live together. We are engaged. So we live in Denver, Colorado together. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all are seeing what weirdos we are.
Just two mountain loving
hookers.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love you both so much. Savannah, I forgot that when we met, we bonded over being former strippers. I totally forgot that until you just mentioned that.
Yes, I know. It was like jamming out. I get like nostalgic in the car. Link sees this, and I'm all like, back when I stripped. He's like, oh God, don't do the splits in the car.
I'd be impressed if you did the splits in the car.
Yes.
I'd be all for it.
I don't know how I could. I probably would try. So yes, former strippers.
We're the best. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's a jam. That's why I like to pretend I'm in the strip club when I drive places.
Yes. Well, since we're kind of on you for a moment, what will you tell us a bit about how you got started in sex work? Maybe like from stripping or wherever you want to start.
Yes. So back in the day, I was 18 and I was working at a Hooters-like establishment in Addison, Texas. And I had some girlfriends that were stripping, and I was like, I should try that. And so I went and got these god-awful tacky platform stilettos that looked like Cher from Clueless wore them. Yes. And I went to the Clubhouse, which was owned by Pantera in Dallas, and I danced to Smack My Bitch Up. Got so nervous, threw up on myself, and then didn't go back for 3 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 3 years, because I was so bad and so nervous, and Prodigy was blasting and I was throwing up. And so that was my first night stripping.
It's a little traumatic.
It was intense. I was not prepared for that. It's a great story. And then 2021 danced full time, moved to Colorado to get out of the South, and got into social work after college, did a lot of nonprofit work, grassroots organizing and activism, and then got the rough reality that it's really hard to make a livable wage doing nonprofit work. So I moved back to Texas and picked up dancing again because I knew I could balance both. And dancing went to sugaring went to full service, and then I just slowly started tapering out of the strip club. I'm just too tired now. I like to go to bed early. And now I do content creation, full-time companionship, and that's about 6 years of my collective sex worker career.
Wow.
Yeah. That's quite a journey.
It's such a journey, and only getting to be more exciting of a journey because you've grown even in the time that I've known you, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, life is good.
Life is good. Link, how did you get started in sex work?
Unexpectedly, in some way. I, in a past life, I went to college for computer science, and I got hired right out of college, and I wrote medical software for a little while, and then one of the big tech companies made me an offer that was hard to refuse, and I didn't. And so I went and I did that for a few years, and it really, as technical as I've always been my whole life, it never fully seemed right. And I kind of fell out of that and started getting into the mountains. I did a very, very brief little bit of search and rescue work just as a volunteer, and then kind of wasn't doing much. And so I was seeing a companion myself, and they looked at me and said, you're into men as much as you are women, and you could do this. And I kind of laughed, but they said, no, really, you should make a Twitter and a rent men profile and see what happens. And I did, and I was actually very surprised at how quickly I kind of fell into sex work and how many people I met, including the lovely lady sitting right next to me right now. And so I just ended up falling more and more into it, and it became a viable job for me and source of income. And next thing I knew, I was moving from Seattle to Colorado, and the rest is kind of history.
That is wonderful. Which is actually an incredible segue to my next question, which is, how did you two meet?
Great story.
Good question. So back in Seattle, I'll let Savannah give it a.
Oh, this is so good. So I was in Seattle to see an opera performer. I love you, Andrea Bocelli. And yes. I'm multifaceted. I ride horses and listen to Hank Williams Jr., but I also like opera. And so I was in Seattle for an opera, and I was on Twitter, and I saw this cutie pie show up on my screen. He was tattooed and he was trail running. And I remember the photo. It was I saw your tattoos, but there was mountains in the background. I just saw his feet running. I was like, oh my gosh, he trail runs like me. And then I just went on his page. I'm like, dude, this is the female version of me, or male version of me. I can't talk. Male version of me, trail ran, covered in tattoos, yoga. And then his feed was so positive. I was like, I have got to talk to this person. They stuck out so much. So I messaged him, and I remember what I said. I said, you're such a dreamboat. Do you see women, or are you exclusive to men? Because I was, at the very least, I can meet as a colleague and we can grab coffee, It's like, oh no, I'm very pansexual. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. And so we just started chatting. And then I was like, where are you based? He's like, oh, I'm actually in Capitol Hill right now. I'm seeing clients. I was like, me too. So we were literally both in the same area at the same time, seeing clients. Wow. And then we scouted, I know, hilarious. We were just DMing each other in between clients, haha, my client this, or oh my gosh, this happened here. So it was we just bonded immediately, came over the next day for a 90-minute date. And then he just didn't leave. We just hit it off.
I respectfully asked if she wanted to hang out.
And I was giddy. I was like, really? You actually want to hang out with me off the clock? I was just happy to pay for your time. He's like, no, I actually want to take you out on a date. I was like, wow, yes, please. Like, I would be delighted to, because the energy was just, we were both trying to be professional, but it was very obvious that we were like,
It didn't take long for us to have a cheeseburger pizza and Jaws 3 on.
Yes.
we made the next day. So it was Pride weekend. So we went out with a bunch of fellow workers, came back to our Airbnb, and the next day we were like sitting in our underwear eating mac and cheese pizza and watching Jaws 3 with another worker. And that was the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, for folks familiar with Seattle, this was the middle of Capitol Hill on Pride weekend. So it was a vibrant atmosphere.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic.
That sounds magical.
Yeah. And here we are today. So we've been together, it'll be 3 years in June, and we got engaged in November. So from Twitter to life partners.
Oh, wait, so the question, just going back, I want to make sure, because you asked how we started dating, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, on this rabbit hole too.
Well, yeah, there's one little caveat that I found interesting.
Oh, this is good.
So what we just described is actually really just how we met. And I still lived in Seattle at this point, and Savannah lived in Colorado, and I thought we were dating. She kind of thought I was going to be a really nice roommate to have.
Like a sexy roommate.
And, you know, I packed up all my stuff into my Subaru, and we drove across the country and moved in. And about 3 or 4 months or so after I had moved in, we had some conversation where she kind of looked at me and goes, "Wait, you thought we were dating?" And that's about when we started dating, I think.
Yeah. So what had happened, now I know, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I would have completely forgot about this. Whoopsies.
Well, it's a good
I had a second bedroom that I was using for an in-call. So when Fosta Sesta hit, I was prepared, like, okay, shit just hit the fan. I need to cut all expenses. Probably not going to be seeing many people anymore. So I was like, I need to rent out this in-call, because my income completely changed overnight when Fosta Sesta hit.
Yes.
So when I had this great vibe with him, I've been very jaded from dating. So I did not expect this, like, I'm just assuming the worst always, right? So my best outcome to me was like, I can have a sexy roommate. I can see clients sometimes, and we'll have great sex. This is awesome. I had like no idea that like this person was so committed to like making it work with me. So to me, I think I just assumed that the best possible outcome dating as a sex worker would be, I can have a sexy roommate who does what I do. But I didn't realize that I could actually have a healthy, vibrant, very healthy, non-monogamous, queer relationship. Like that was too good to be true. So I think it was more of a guarded thing. And then it kind of just naturally ended up happening as my walls went down, and I trust that this person's here to stay and that we're actually going to make this work. Yeah,
absolutely. It's such a beautiful thing, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you both for an interview, because seeing, dating as a sex worker is super fucking hard. And so seeing two sex workers dating really makes a lot of sense to me, but you don't see it that often.
For us, it was just unexpected too. You know, I don't think either one of us planned it, or were really looking for it. Even though it's a nice thing to look for it to have.
Yeah, we were both single for like 4.5 years before we met. So I think we did a lot of soul searching and a lot of personal development work, that when it would happen, we were like, okay, I'm ready. Like this makes sense. It just fell in our lap.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. In your experience dating as a sex worker prior to you two getting together, like what did that look like? Do you have any experiences that you want to share?
Yeah, because I was Link's, like, he was in it for like 2 months when I hired him. So he was brand new, which is hilarious. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, you're so new. So I had been in the field for way longer. And dating sucks. Like, I'm very, very queer, very pansexual. So I was dating a woman briefly, and then that turned into dating her male partner as well. And they were completely fine with it. But like, they were non-monogamous, right? So we were like in a little triad thing. First it was her, and then it was him, right? And so that was cool. But that was, I don't want to say the word unicorn. That was a needle in a haystack. Finding good relationships that worked like that, just didn't happen. Like, I could go on a dating app and I would try and wait to tell somebody. And then other times I would be honest up front. And no matter which way I went, it always blew up. It never, I didn't have a relationship that lasted more than like 2 months, because eventually the real truth, like, I can't handle your job. And even if they didn't say it, you knew it, you felt it. Right. So, I finally was just burned out. I was just like, this sucks, right? So I was essentially like, unless I'm playing in cool poly non-monogamous circles where that's just kind of they don't really care because they're already non-monogamous, but any normal space that wasn't I don't want to say an alternative lifestyle, any just space that wasn't the conventional, it was just shit out of luck.
Yeah.
I had to really search for open-minded people, and even then it was hard. So
yeah,
that's an experience before we were dating, and I know as a sex worker, I didn't really have much dating experience at all, so I don't really think I can speak to that question. I was going to gay bars every now and then. That's about it. I could really call it dating. Once we got together, though, it's been interesting looking at dating others as a sex worker, and I think the vast majority of people have been surprisingly very accepting.
But sometimes it gets complicated.
But there's always a level of feeling like we maybe have to hide something, or just can't really put ourselves out there, because any one thing that we do might be a lot for somebody. Just being non-monogamous can be a lot, and just even having been a stripper can be a lot for somebody, much less being a full-service sex worker who's also queer and dating another full-service sex worker. It can be a lot, and so I feel like it just kind of really has to work. You have to find somebody that's not going to overcomplicate things, and relationships do take time to work. And so we've certainly experimented.
When we go on dating apps, it's just
both of us have been able to meet folks before on dating apps, and at the end of the day, we have, at least for now, come back to kind of just us for the moment, and it's more just time. We're so busy right now in trying to build so many things that I don't think I'd be able to give a healthy amount of time to another relationship.
Yeah.
Just speaking for myself, and so it's a lot.
Relationships, no. I think now it's just finding people to play with is hard enough, right? Let alone a whole other relationship that can handle this. So I'm like, when COVID's over, I'm heading to Berlin. I'm heading to the Kit Kat Club. I'm going. I have the capacity to play with others, and I have a great partner to do that with. No relationships, because we are a whole package of stuff to unpack, and it's hard unless someone is just a very non-conventional, understanding, non-judgmental person.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was thinking as you were talking that COVID is just like adds a whole other layer of complication to all of this, because it's
absolutely
COVID
complicates entirely too many things in this whole industry.
And I find personally, when I'm on dating apps, it feels sometimes it just feels too much like work, like what we do for work,
absolutely.
and I just get tired of it. I'm just like, no.
I just want to meet people organically, and if we're vibing. I think it's funny now. I will admit that like now COVID, like my senses are just so much more heightened to people because I don't go out much. So I'm like finding I find like attractive women at Target, and I'm like, oh, hello. And I'm like, damn, I'm not getting out much, because I'm just like, when I go out now, I'm just like I'm so much more hyper aware of people around me.
Oh yeah.
But if I'm not meeting someone organically, I just can't. It's dating as a sex worker is just too exhausting.
It does feel like work sometimes, which I never thought I would say at first, but it almost just feels like unpaid work with no real guarantee of an outcome, which I think it is. Just accepting it.
Yeah.
And I'd want to be okay with that if I'm going to do that. And there are times when I probably will be, but not right now.
Yeah, it's got to just happen organically or not at all.
Yeah, I feel also it's just made me in my dating experiences, it's made me have standards maybe at all. Just like being like, oh, my time is worth something. Like this is emotional labor, and I'm gonna value, if I'm gonna be putting my emotional labor into something, I want to know that I'm actually interested in the person and that they're actually interested.
Absolutely. Any one of our full attentions is a gift to give to somebody.
Yeah.
And gosh, we can only give it so many times. There's only so many hours in the day. And so
Totally. Yeah.
So I wish I had more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some pros and cons of dating someone in the industry?
Absolutely. And I think there are pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Savannah start, and then I'll pick up.
So pros, definitely, like having someone that understands and like they just get it. Like our schedules can be unpredictable. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, you just got to fly me to you here. And it's like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, cool, I'll navigate the pets. And like, it's just having somebody who gets just this lifestyle and the job and like coming home and being able to share these beautiful, intimate, real connections I make with clients who I don't even like calling clients, because to me they are, but it's a lot of these relationships turn to like long-term friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And having a partner that celebrates that with me and isn't jealous, and it's just like, oh my gosh, and like I get to like text my partner when I'm going to fly me to you, telling them we did this, we did that, it was so cool, and we had this great conversation, and he celebrates that with me. Whereas like other people may get salty or they get jealous or they don't understand. So we just celebrate each other's successes in this business and are able to really uplift and be a sounding board for each other as far as like ideas and visions. That's
a
great.
major pro.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we just are so flexible and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
We both travel
a stupid amount
in the country, out of the country. And with COVID, that's gotten more complicated as well, because then there's testing requirements. I know I've traveled to places that have required me to get tested going there, and I've traveled to places that have required me now to get tested coming back into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're doing everything we can do to stay safe, but I feel like we're inherently at a little bit higher risk than most folks would be.
Yeah.
And so,
what about cons of dating a sex worker?
So that's a major pro. One of, I'd say, our major cons is that we still, and we work on this, but we still struggle to create kind of a work-life balance. It's hard to know when we're working and when we're just being two people that aren't working, that are just in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I can give just a quick example of even going on like a hike. We both love hiking, and we'll have to have a conversation before we go hiking on what type of hike is this? Is this just a personal hike? Are we going to take pictures on this hike?
Mm-hmm.
Is this like a work-focused hike where we're going to make content? We're going to bring filming equipment. We're going to try to get way off trail and not be seen by anybody. What type of hike is it? But we have to talk about it. And sometimes we're not on the same page, because maybe we do need to take pictures, but we also want some personal time. And so it's always kind of, that's probably a con.
Mm-hmm.
It's just finding that balance of, especially working for ourselves as well. We can just always be working.
Yeah.
When do we stop? And so I think we do a good job of communicating that to each other, but that still is something that we struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a con. Overall, though, really, there's
really
more
positive.
Yeah, there's more pros. More pros. Much more pros than cons. And I attribute that really to good communication and just sheer luck with this one.
Yes. I think anyone who owns their own business, I feel like struggles with work-life balance, because you just feel like there's so much at stake. And I could see how that is compounded with two people whose businesses intertwine a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we work for each other sometimes, which adds a whole nother dynamic to a relationship, because not only are we dating, but we're occasionally each other's bosses, or we're occasionally each other's equals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And it gets complicated sometimes.
It creates a power dynamic.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Absolutely. We've got to talk about that a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. Our relationship and how well it works, but also just how, I don't want to say complicated. It's intricate. It's detailed. It's complex. There's a lot of layers and a lot of little fine print things.
Even the differences where we both work in the same industry, but at the same time, we have major differences in our work and our clients, in our rates, in even our ability to screen.
Mm-hmm.
it's commonplace to screen clients for most companions. In the male world, it's pretty much unheard of.
Interesting.
And so there's differences, but also a lot of similarities and overlap.
That's fascinating. I guess that does make sense now that I think about it with like Grindr culture.
Exactly. It's a different culture, and that's okay. I celebrate that most female companions are able to screen their clients. But it's just not a way of being a male in this world. You wouldn't see many people. And it's interesting, I can always tell when a client of mine has seen female companions, because they'll usually send me an email with screening information.
Oh.
Oh wow, that's kind of like a pleasant surprise. You obviously have seen people before. And so it's just
That's so good. Do you two experience jealousy, whether it be relationally or in a business sense, just because you two have differences in business? And I know you're polyamorous, and so, but jealousy is still a human emotion that rears its ugly head sometimes. So I'm curious to know.
Very much so.
It's interesting, right? So we have the non-monogamous side, which I love how people just assume that if you are a full service person that you're non-monogamous. Like, no, I know plenty of people who are monogamous. So I was like, no, this is a true conscious choice. I hate that assumption because I see that all the time on social media. They're like, why would you assume that? It's like, because people, you make yourself an ass when you assume things, right?
It's true.
So we choose that by mainly, the biggest reason that we're non-monogamous is because we're both pansexual, right? So being with a biological penis is not going to meet all my sexual and emotional needs, right? So for us, it's about balancing that. So as long as we're very open and honest about, hey, you're spending time with this person, but I kind of feel, or like, hey, you're kind of doing this thing with them. Like, we're just very good at saying, hey, I feel this way. Because long time ago, I remember reading The Ethical Slut, and it was talking about how the root of all jealousy, there's a feeling underneath, right? So we've gotten the habit of really, what are you feeling? So that helps in that regard because we see other people, and same with clients. It's not just if we're dating outside of our relationship with clients too. It's like, oh, ouch. Like, I kind of feel a certain way about that experience you had with that client. So whether it's we're dating outside of our relationship or we're with clients and it kind of feels a type of way, or financially, we're really good at being like, what is the real issue underneath? Because I know you're jealous, but that's what's underneath. Let's process that. And that really helps us communicate through when it happens, because it's natural.
And I think we've also, both of us have kind of worked through some thoughts and had some time to process everything from jealousy, just sexual jealousy or jealousy of intimacy in another relationship, to financial disparities and potential jealousies around those. And at the end of the day, we have just worked really, really hard on our mental health. We have not always been perfect, but we continued to work on it, and it really paid off. We're still not perfect, but we still work really hard on it. And at the end of the day, that I think is what has allowed us to work so well and to get along and be happy and be able to feel safe. And when the reality of jealousy arises, if it arises, we're able to talk about it in a healthy way with each other. And I feel really fortunate to be able to do that, because those can be hard conversations to have. And I think we've just had enough hard conversations where, we buckle our seatbelts and it's like, okay, let's do this. And, it's worth it.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, we've been living together pretty much since we met, practically. And we've been together almost 3 years. So it's like, eventually you just start to know when your partner is feeling a type of way, and you can kind of just nip it. There's no more games. Like, I already know. I know when he's upset. And I can tell when I'm like, the energy shifts. It's like, you're just like, I feel that.
I know when I screw up.
Yeah, he knows me, I know him. And now I can just be like, hey, you're doing that thing that you do. I'm going to go do that thing I do when you do that thing. Like, it's just, we know each other well enough that we can just nip it in the ass before it snowballs.
Yeah, and then we get back to Savannah doing the splits and me running up mountains and playing Zelda. You know,
Sounds like our relationship. Always doing the splits and going up mountains.
Oh my God, is Zelda where you got your name?
Absolutely is.
Oh my
I have
God.
a little pixelated Link tattooed on my leg. I grew up with Zelda. You know, it's just a video game, but
Same.
but it's also
It's a lifestyle.
it just holds a lot of memories for me that are positive, and so I love it. I love my Zelda.
That makes my heart like grow 3 whole sizes. I love that so much.
Three heart containers added all at once.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And I think it's important as you were both were talking, I was just like, oh, communication, willingness, and self-knowledge, like self-awareness. Like those are the 3 things that you two seem to have a whole lot of.
We try. I'll emphasize we're not perfect, but we try.
Right.
Oh, I mean, let's be honest, we're both crazy, but in our own way. And I think what I've learned with being with Link is that I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the work, and I need a partner who does too. And we love each other through our character defects.
Mm-hmm.
And we push each other to be the best version of ourselves, even when we're being stubborn. Like I'm not the same person I was when I met him. And I like to think vice versa. Like I've seen so much change, but it's because we hold each other accountable and we call each other on our shit and we communicate, but it's a process.
We have a pretty good time doing it.
Yeah, it's not all serious conversations. We're also really fun and goofy and weird. I'm sure you can tell.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I've met at least one of you, so I know that.
I'm very strange. It's very, living with me, people are like, I want to know the real you. I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty weird. I have a lot of dance parties and talk to my pets, and Link deals with it all.
It's fun. It's always it's a never ceasing source of entertainment, if nothing else.
I love that. So one of the questions I had too was, especially as a woman provider, there's always this illusion that we're single. I feel like a lot of times we have to like pretend we're single and available, right? And yeah, we're shimmying our shoulders as we're talking.
I'm like, yes, I'm here. Take me. I'm a damsel in distress, and I just need a big, powerful man to rescue me from this industry.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a big, powerful man.
I mean, I like a big, powerful man, but yeah, no, I like big, powerful people. I love being tossed around like a rag doll, but not in a power dynamic way that puts me like I need to be saved.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point. I think.
I'm wondering if you've had any experience with clients who have told you how they feel, or if they feel a certain type of way about you two dating, if you've noticed any sort of reception, I guess for both of you, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. All right. Here we go. We're ripping the Band-Aid off this one.
Mm-hmm.
I was not always honest, and it backfired. I created a lot of unhealthy, unrealistic dynamics with people that ended up burning a really great relationship. And I think part of that would have just had to end amicably. But because there was this unrealistic, I got so into the girlfriend role that I stopped having boundaries in that way. And I got to where people were at, and I did a disservice in not keeping it contained, right? I got these really deep emotional connections, and sometimes people were in a very vulnerable place in their lives. And because I'm a social worker and I love connecting with people, I feel it in my bones. I feel human connections, I thrive in that. And I think by not being honest, I ended up shooting myself in the foot sometimes it ends up creating an unhealthy dynamic and the world of companionship.
In your defense at the time, I think you had the best of intentions going into this. You thought you had to create, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for you, but it felt like you wanted to create this fantasy of being the single, available girlfriend, and that anything else would hurt your business.
Yeah, and
which is why you did that. But you weren't trying to lie.
Yeah. You also when you do that, you attract a certain kind of client when you have to lie about that. And not telling someone you're in a relationship for privacy, 100%. But when I create this idea that I'm just single and because I remember like biting my tongue when clients would say like, oh, well, you just need a man to get married to. And I'm thinking like, what makes you think I'm not engaged, asshole? But in my head, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I just need, and I'm like, wait, that's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're right. I do need a rich man to just take care of me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I created this false identity that did not resonate. And
so we transitioned.
We transitioned into being like, hey, we're in a relationship. First it was content. We're fluid bonded. And so I was like, hey, this is my partner, because I wanted to differentiate that we're not using condoms, but we're in a relationship. And so I wanted to normalize that in my content. So when clients saw that, because with content, you have to be very careful with when you do in-person work, like, well, I saw you do that thing. So I had to start normalizing it for my own boundaries, that what I do with Link is because we are in a committed relationship and we have talked extensively about boundaries. And even if I'm working with another professional, we have talked extensively about boundaries. So that was the catalyst to start being more honest. And then I started wearing my engagement ring at work and not feeling like I had to hide it. And then, or like it, if it just happened, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Not trying to interrupt you, but I would say that we currently kind of stand at a point where we don't advertise it. We don't just constantly say, oh, I have a partner, I have a partner, I have a partner, but it's also really not a secret.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
This should be obvious, even us talking to you here. You know, we're very much not a secret, and that I think is healthy. It's you know, if our clients ask, by all means, we're going to be honest, and that's, you know, it's a fine line to walk sometimes. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You don't know what their expectations are, but I think we've just discovered that's how we can be most healthy, and that most people are really accepting of it. And if somebody's not, that's probably not somebody that I really want to see.
Yeah.
So it's been, you know, a transition. It's been a little bit of a journey into, is this acceptable? Is this going to hurt my work? You know, is this okay? And I think at the end of the day, it really has been okay. And it's been most healthy when we've been honest, which saying it out loud seems simple enough.
And that was our motivation to do the podcast, because I wanted to debunk these myths. I had a regular who's like, oh, I don't know if I can see you if you're a married woman. I was like, you ding dong, that's my partner. Like that, he's also a companion, and also too, it wouldn't matter. Like this is, and so just having a healthy conversation about that. He was like, oh, you're right. Thank you for telling that. But like his first reaction was like, wait, what? You have a partner? I can't. And I'm like, what? No. But I had to unpack that with him and like tell him, no, it's okay. And once he understood, he's like, wow. But his initial reaction was that.
May I ask if he was a married man?
His partner is deceased.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've definitely had like similar sentiments come from married men, and I was just like, do you not see how this doesn't carry? The logic doesn't work here.
I've
right,
had
not
that,
okay for you, but okay for them.
I've had clients who are married start to go down the rabbit hole of like, I'm falling in love with you, or like this and that. And I'm like, I am a companion. I have a partner. And because I used to not tell them. And then that we would go down that unhealthy rabbit hole.
There are so many misconceptions about sex work. And at the end of the day, I think it really is a healthy thing. And by being honest, you're creating that healthy environment. You're not going to hurt somebody emotionally. You know, this whole thing really is supposed to be enjoyable and an experience that maybe isn't always happy or isn't always sad or doesn't always include one thing or another, but it should be healthy at the end of the day. And,
totally.
And when you lie to somebody, you create unrealistic expectations.
True. Link, what is, how have your clients reacted?
Overwhelmingly, they are at first, I think, surprised, but they really don't mind. They don't seem to care. And I have several clients that not only know that I'm in a relationship, but have done various things to support us, and are just beyond completely accepting. And so that feels really good for me. I don't think I've actually had one experience where somebody's been surprised. If anything, maybe some of my clients are surprised that I'm with a woman. I've certainly
Yes.
had some men, a little surprised by that. But I advertise that I'm very pansexual, and I really am. I like men as much as I like women, and so
Ditto.
I just as well could have ended up with a man, but I ended up with Savannah here, and
and that can change at any moment. COVID pending.
So I've had an overwhelmingly positive response.
I love hearing that. I think in my, or I guess knowing the clients that I've had, I feel like there's a reaction. Some would be like disenchanted by it, knowing that you're a taken person or whatever. But then also there's the people who would feel a little more secure, knowing that like you have a person. Like this isn't going to get complicated because you have a person.
And I like those clients because those are the people that like, it's just, I tell them like, we're friends with benefits. Like we have great sex. We eat good food. We listen to vinyls. We do our thing. Like, let's not, It is what it is. And when we can just show up in that consenting, honest space, those are the best relationships. We just do our thing.
And it's not like I ever exist, the most they would ever have to hear of me is maybe just a brief mention. I'm not,
The only time Link comes up in a session is that he's watching our pets. I don't go and talk about my partner. Now, granted, there are people who've done duos or with us, so they know. So maybe he'll come up more because they want to ask about him. But I don't just talk about my partner. It's just that's not what they're there for.
There's a healthy separation.
Yeah. So there's really no reason it should bug people, considering unless you want to hire him, he will not be a part of this. So
yeah. I was just going to ask you if you had sessioned together or done duos together and what that experience has been like.
Oh yeah, We've worked together in multiple sessions. We've had threesomes and foursomes. I don't think we've had any 5-person groups.
Never say never.
No, we have had a 5. I feel like we probably have, and I just forgot at this point. We've had enough where
they all blur together.
I do remember, but it's enough where I have to think about it.
I love that it's a part of our job. Like it's just like my friends from like they're veterinarians or social workers. I'm like, I had a threesome with my partner today. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, another day at the office. We're getting food. How are you? And they're like, that's wild.
And we work together too in when it comes to the content world, not only just filming together, but given my tech background, I love editing content and nerding out on computers. And so
we come up with some really ridiculous content. Like we did like a camp counselor thing. We're like, oh, we're so burned out of arts and crafts. I just need to go smoke a doobie in the woods. Oh, look, you're here too. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Haha. So it's fun making these ridiculous concepts with your partner and then editing it. And he geeks out over it. And I'm like, yeah, do this. Or I got this different idea. So it's just fun. So we enjoy it.
We've worked together a lot.
Mm-hmm. And I think our clients enjoy it too, because we really enjoy each other. So it's authentic and you can tell that we're not faking it.
Well, for me, I'm over here being like, oh my God, having someone else to take some photos who like knows what kind of content sex workers need is just like magic.
I've lost track of how many photos and videos, just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of photos and clicks and phones and cameras and photography and lights. And,
it's hilarious.
I always learn from you. I feel like I want to go back to college for like a film degree, but for sex work.
Yeah.
I need a porn editing degree.
Yes.
It's like I need to go to a few classes on lighting and a few classes on professional videography, and you start diving down the rabbit hole, and then you start editing, and all of a sudden you realize you don't know anything about coloring your work, and then you read some articles on coloration, and about 2 years later you have scratched the surface maybe.
Yeah. But it's fun because we do it together and it's like our baby, right? Yeah. It's like we're just building this together. We learn along the way and make mistakes and then learn from them.
Other work, I also do website work too. So build some websites. We work together on that. So there's always something.
We're always coming up with different ways to work smarter, not harder. How can we maximize profit while having more time to live? Because that's why we live in the mountains. We want to work, but I want to work in a way that fuels my cup, and I'm not working. I want to work to live, not live to work. Right. So having a partner who has that same vision, it's just like, let's just keep refining this and doing this more efficiently.
Absolutely. I love that. And thank goodness for external hard drives.
Yes.
I know. It's a problem. I feel like my computer's going to explode. It's just going to start shaking and just explode with content if I don't get it on the hard drive.
Terabytes and terabytes of things that should never be seen.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, I think we are in the place where we're ready for rapid fire questions.
Cool, let's do it.
And again,
So
I've
excited.
never done this with two people, so it should be interesting.
Here we go.
What's one of your favorite moments together?
One of our old dogs in a stroller on the Las Vegas Strip while sipping on a drink. The dog had sunglasses on, like these big old, way too big for him sunglasses. A little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel in a stroller.
Oh my God.
So the context is Link and I planned this awesome road trip. And it's perfect. We put our dog down the next summer. It was very sad, but our dog, Gustav, love you, Goose, he had heart problems. So I didn't want him to use his little legs walking. I wanted him to save his energy for the dog park, like all the things that he could do, like the dog swim beach. So I got him a dog stroller. So this whole road trip, anytime we were not camping or we needed to take him somewhere, we put him in the dog stroller. So people thought, oh, these people are just putting their dog in a stroller. And I just got defensive. And I'm like, he has a heart condition. He's saving his energy. And so we were like in Vegas, walking around the strip with like cocktails and like getting snacks. And he was just in the stroller, like chilling. Loved it. And that was pretty great. Oh, and this is another one from that trip. I like to roller skate.
Yes.
And we were trying to find dog-friendly hotels. And so we just ended up doing Motel 6 the whole time. I'm like, whatever, we're on a road trip.
Yeah.
So we get it. Yeah, we're like, whatever, staying at Motel 6s. So if we couldn't camp, we would just crash in a Motel 6. And we go to the front desk the next day to get coffee. And she's like, were you roller skating last night? I was like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, we got a phone call at the front desk that someone thought you were being chased. I was like, on roller skates? She's like, yeah, they like called the front desk and were concerned because you were just going in laps. And I was like, you guys think that I'm being chased? It was the most hilarious. I'm like, no, I was just roller skating.
Oh my God.
Hilarious. I know. We just like died. I was like, no, I'm just a weirdo. I just like to roller skate. So literally being at the Motel 6 roller skating with our dog in a stroller was a hilarious memory.
We've had one too many crazy experiences. Even I mean, the list could go on here. From anything from sneaking in to hot springs.
Oh, we snuck into a hot spring together for photos. That was hilarious.
You know,
Oh, I love that.
I've seen you highlight was still. You might not be happy with me about this one. I'm gonna go for it. Still a little drunk after your 30th birthday.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Going through security at the airport, still dancing, quite literally dancing.
I was playing disco on my phone in like gold bell bottoms, coming home from New Orleans.
Oh my God.
Still drunk, and I don't drink much anymore. But this is like 3 years ago.
No, but you had a very good time that night.
I had a great weekend in New Orleans, and I was still drunk, and I put on disco, and I was going through security like blasting disco in my bell bottoms. And we got the whole thing on tape, and everyone was like, wow, this girl is having a great birthday.
Needless to say, she had a lot of beads from that trip.
Oh, that's so great. New Orleans is magical. And I think you need to bring back the gold bell bottoms.
I have photos. I dropped down into the splits and flashed the crowd on that trip for beads. Yes. And we got it.
At least a few times.
Yeah, I think multiple times I dropped down into the splits. Again, I can't really do the splits that well anymore, but that 30th birthday, the splits came out.
Big modest. Girl does yoga every day.
Amazing. Okay, the next one. What drives you bonkers about the other person?
Go for it. Lay it on thick.
Link is so OCD. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Along Came Polly, but like I'm Jennifer Aniston. I'm like the free spirit. I'm just gallivanting across the globe, and I'm just like blah blah blah. I'm gonna go teach yoga here, and then I'm gonna come here and tour here, and blah blah blah. I'm very creative, big vision. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm just like bah, 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 with all my ideas.
Yes.
Link is like the risk management. He's just so like, you know, the details and all this. And some
OCD engineer.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, let it go. It's not that big of a deal. And just some of the things that like he tracks and like is so fine-tuned about, I'm like, let it go. live a little. And then I drive him nuts. Like I'm not allowed. I highly recommend it to not do the dishes because I don't load the dishwasher properly. Just like throw them in, wash them. Or I do the laundry and he's like, you didn't check the pockets. I was like, no, why not? I just throw it in. He's like, you gotta check the pockets. So sometimes it's just hilarious, the things that he notices and I don't.
It's like roommate stuff, but it's,
it's endearing, but it just cracks me up because we're so different. I'm just like, throw it all in the wash. It's fine. It'll come out clean. And he's like, no, you got to check every pocket. So we're just different, but it makes it entertaining. There's never a dull moment in our house.
Yeah, we almost kind of constantly drive each other a little bit insane, but in an endearing way.
Yeah, it's just because we're so different, like the way our brains work, and it makes life so balanced. I think I would lose my mind if I was dating somebody who's like me. I need the balance of energy. And
if I was dating another engineer, I think I would just have about 5 cats and about 20 computers, and I would probably not be a sex worker.
Amazing. So Link, would your answer be the pockets thing, or is there another one?
Okay. What else do I do that drives you nuts?
I think Savannah kind of just hit on just the general lack of detail orientation things, although I appreciate that she's made it this far in life, and I'm thoroughly impressed, and it gives me hope that if I just kind of let go, everything will be okay.
Again, I'm just very Link said it best the other day. He's like, your brain's like a slot machine. I'm just going to pull and I don't know what I'm going to get. And I'm like, exactly. Like, he's like, you're just this animated Looney Tune every day. And he's like,
my brain is a checklist.
But we just move at different paces. So it's just his pace versus my pace. It's just like the fact that we've managed to coordinate this well is impressive.
But I love it. I couldn't imagine a different life.
It would be very boring if we weren't together. I need someone telling me to check pockets in the laundry.
And I also, the opposites attract thing really is a true thing. It rings true.
Could not be more true.
Totally. And yeah, you're just not allowed to do the laundry.
No, just not.
Or the dishes.
But not like in a patronizing way, just like, no, for the sake of our clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited about that question. That made me so happy. What is one of your favorite qualities about the other person?
Savannah she's just a joy. She's always got this vivacious, smiley energy. She's going to put disco on in the car and start dancing. And I just love that. It keeps my world light and entertaining. And I never really know what's coming next. But I love that. It's just a really sweet quality about it.
Link is like just the most non-judgmental, even-keeled human. Things roll off his back. He doesn't hold grudges. I like to tease him and say, like, you're just like a golden retriever. You like everyone. You're cute. And golden retrievers have the best, and I like dogs clearly, but they just have the best temperament. I'm like, you could pull on your ears and pull your tail and you're still going to smile and be kind. And it's very hard for things to get to him. He's just he's so tactful about what he says about others. And his energy is just regularly keeping positive, and things just roll off. Things don't stick to him. And it's just so nice to be around somebody that bad things can happen. It bounces off and he stays calm and keeps going. It's just nice to have that groundedness, right? Because you just realize how short life is, and you have a partner that's always keeping you like life in perspective. That shitty things happen, but it's how we react to it. And like Link has helped me learn to just let it roll off my back.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
My little golden retriever. That's the weirdest compliment. I like dogs, so he's a golden retriever, even keeled and sweet.
Well, thank you.
I love that. Okay, so the next questions are less about you two as a couple and are more individual. So if we want to go Link and then Savannah, and we can just answer however you'd like.
Sure.
What's one of your favorite qualities about yourself?
I love how I can plow through any Zelda game.
Yes.
I like that I can just be empathetic to folks, and I enjoy listening. I find that I learn something usually when I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I love my creativity, and I love like I'm sure you're familiar with the author Jack Kerouac, but when I first read him, I was like, this is how my brain works. Like, he's just a stream of consciousness. And I just love that, because my best ideas come from that. And I used to be like, I need to just calm down. I need to just smoke more weed and Zen. I'm like, no, this is who I am. I'm louder than life. I'm manic and I talk a lot. But through that very energetic zest for life, I have the best realizations, the best heart to hearts, the best creativity. And so through that zest for life, I think it's just, I find joy and I find creativity and I find connection with others. So I like my energy.
It's a hard question.
Yeah, it's hard, but
Yeah.
I think my energy impacts everything I do. And I love that about myself, that I'm just regularly high energy and happy to be alive.
Hell yeah. That is one of the first things I noticed about you when we met. So
like, she is either eating a lot of sugar or just naturally that happy. I know, I'm like Buddy the Elf. I'm like, I'm always smiling. I'm always happy.
And I was like, do I need to get more caffeinated for this?
No, this is just me when I wake up at like 5 a.m. I had a week-long fly me to Mexico, and I know he's listening, and I'm sure he can be like, yes, she really does wake up like that. It's really intense.
We're giving her decaf.
Yeah, right. Amazing. Okay, what is a song that you're currently obsessed with?
So in another past life, I played guitar in a Metallica cover band and love metal. And so I'm kind of currently obsessed with a Between the Buried and Me song called Son of Nothing. It's really screamy and metally and a little angry sounding, but they're sweet guys. They're really short and kind of nerdy. I've seen them in person a few times. So
Yes.
their music does not sound at all like what they actually are. So I'm obsessed with that metal song right now, probably.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have this shameless plug. I love making content based off of like stories and themes, and again, my manic creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this really great idea to incorporate my lifestyle as a stripper and my love for dad rock. And so I've been listening to like a lot of Ozzy Osbourne lately. And, like, going into my little like creative vision for content, I'm like, how can I recreate this dive bar aesthetic with like old dad rock? And so I've been listening to, I think, like Crazy Train, like literally, like, because I get nostalgic for the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
And he's watched it. He's like, oh, you're going down the rabbit hole of your stripper days. I'm watching it happen. And it's like,
I love it. Cue up the Pantera and
some music just makes you like, that's why I love stripping. I love metal and classic rock and just how much it makes me an entertainer. So I've been listening to a lot of Ozzy and Black Sabbath lately. It's not a song,
Yes.
probably like more of a like that genre, but yeah, Black Sabbath and like Ozzy Osbourne has been being played a lot as I manifest this dive bar strip club content vision.
I'm having memories return as we're talking about
See,
it.
you
Yeah.
get it. If you know, you know.
Yes.
If you've worked a day shift, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a day shift thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm like,
Alice in Chains.
oh yeah.
Yes.
It's a day shift thing. It's a day shift thing.
I remember one of the clubs I worked at was like explicitly like heavy metal rock. And they played a Perfect Circle, and I was so excited during my shift. I was just like,
Perfect Circle.
Oh my God,
so good.
Deftones, Tool,
Yes.
Korn,
Going down the rabbit hole.
Pantera. But when I listen to that stuff, I get transported. Like, some of those dancing days are some of the best days of my life. The most fun. And now when I get in that zone with content, I love it. That's how content makes me feel. When I'm in tune with what I'm creating, I feel so alive.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is a book on your mandatory reading list?
Wow, I don't know where to begin even. I tend to read a lot of fantasy books just because I indulge myself.
Yes.
I really like the Sword of Truth series, although it's a little bit, I don't know, Ender's Game, actually, going back. I'm going to say Ender's Game, even though Orson Scott Card is the guy has some problems, to say the least. But I love that work that he did.
People's History of America by Howard Zinn.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out as a social work major, and the longer I was in college, the more radical my politics got, as I just kept going down the rabbit hole of more and more activism, meeting more and more people. And the literature I got introduced completely changed my white savior social work attitude to really being an ally. And that book really played a transformative role in my activism. So If you haven't read it, highly recommend it because it will blow your mind. Just kind of, especially as someone who's very privileged, like starting to unpack a lot of that.
Yeah.
One more come to mind that I would mention is probably one of my cornerstones just of like living. It's called a Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. And it's just talking about essentially loving and accepting yourself as you are right now, which is a powerful concept. Books are great. We both read a ton.
Yeah. And Tara Brach is incredible. I listen to a lot of her meditations. So I have not read that book yet. So that'll promptly go on my list.
One of my favorites.
Oh, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I honestly just have food, snap my fingers and have whatever I want to eat.
You snap your fingers and get whatever you want to eat?
Yeah, that's what I want. I want snacks on demand.
You don't fly or shoot lasers?
No, I want snacks on demand. Sometimes I'm tired, I don't want to cook, and I just want to snap my fingers. And there's crawfish boil, snap my fingers.
Are you a Taurus? What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
You're a Scorpio.
I'm the Taurus.
I love baking and cooking, but I just sometimes when I'm just wiped out, I don't want to do it. And if I could just have it done for me, just on demand, snacks on demand. That's my motive.
Oh man, I don't know what I would do. Fly around or something would be a fun superpower.
You probably fly so you could go to more mountains.
Yeah, flying the mountains is good.
I would also save a lot of intense. We both hike. He's like a different level. Like he'll like run in 30 miles. I'm like, oh my, I tap out at like 10, 12. So he's just a crazy mountain man.
Enjoy my rocks.
Yes. What is something simple that brings you joy?
You already know my answer. Horses. I am a Texas girl through and through, minus the racism. I'm like, horses, something I can be proud of from Texas. I love horses. I love the horse culture. I love barrel racing. There's just such a simple lifestyle. And I love it. And I love being on acres of nothing except you and the horses. And it's just quiet. And it's peaceful. And connecting with such majestic animals is a transformative experience. Think I've convinced a lot of people like, okay, I need to go on a trail ride with you. I'm like, you'll understand why I love this. So I'm thinking of all the people who mentioned it to me. I'm like, I'm holding you to that. I'm getting you on a horse.
Yes.
So
horses for me.
Your simple pleasure. I am at risk of embarrassing myself. My simple pleasures are essentially eating like a 5-year-old. I am so plain. I just want a plain hot dog or like some mac and cheese with like too much butter or terrible things. I can pretend to be refined sometimes, but let's be real, I do eat like a 5-year-old, I think.
He loves Hostess snacks. I just find wrappers and I'm like, I'm such a foodie. And I'm like, we can get you something better than this. He's like, no, I wanted the ding dong. I'm like, okay, you want the ding dong.
I have to not eat the ding dong though. I mean, I'm going into a training phase because I want to get back into making more content, and it's always nicer when you feel confident in yourself. And so,
but we do like ding dongs here.
We do like the ding dongs.
We do like the hosts,
but we try to limit ding dongs.
Yeah, the ding dong hangover is a real problem.
Yeah,
I can't just do 2 ding dongs. I end up.
It's impressive how many Hostess snacks.
If I go down the rabbit hole, I think I just give up. I'm just like, I'm going down a bender tonight. We're just not going to talk about this.
My favorite time is when he came home. He's like, the Cold Stone people know me. I'm like, what do you mean they know you? He's like, well, one time I went twice in a day. I'm like, you went to Cold Stone twice in a day?
That's dedication.
So yeah.
In my defense, I ran a lot for a long time, and I got really used to needing to eat like 5,000 to 8,000 calories a day to even break even.
Yeah.
And once I didn't run anymore, the habit of eating that much didn't really stop. And so, I have to keep running. It's just where I'm at.
2020 was stressful. I think there's a lot of double dipped ice cream days for a lot of us. It's all good.
There's no shame. There is no shame.
Eat the ice cream.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of our rapid fire questions.
Wow. Yeah. You really got the taste of Savannah and Link.
I'm so sorry. but thank you for letting us ramble.
This is either going to ruin my career or boost it. Like, this is who I am.
I'm flattered that you wanted to interview us. So.
Of course. Yeah, this has been so wonderful. And again, Link, it's so nice to finally meet you. Savannah.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Is there any, I haven't asked this question, but is there anything you want to like sign off on? Any like note you would like to leave it on?
I think just that like we're human and that we date and that we have relationships and they're complicated and some of us don't date and some of us are, it's just there's so many nuances and people shouldn't make assumptions and they shouldn't make assumptions based off of social media, which is a marketing platform.
Thank you.
And if you want to ask within reason, with appropriateness, but like don't make assumptions about people based off what you see, get to know them and really give them a fair shot. Because sex workers are humans and we're complicated.
Yeah.
And we have relationships.
Absolutely. I don't have anything to add. I think that's.
Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover. Get to know somebody before you like judge their character or like who they are. Because I think people can make a lot of assumptions about us as a couple because of what they see our content or what we post. But I'm like, this is marketing, y'all.
Yeah.
We need to I don't post my bad days on social media. We don't post, I'm human, right? So I think people just need to humanize sex workers and humanize our relationships.
It's always a breath of fresh air when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Sex workers are deserving of love.
Yeah.
100%.
And I love when I see people showing their relationships. Like that's a choice. You can be private or you can be out, but I always celebrate when people want to share that because I think it's a really brave step to humanize us.
Yeah.
So to all the people out there who have shared, my hat is off to you. I think you're really brave and it's really cool to see.
Well, my hat is off to both of you currently. So thank you for sharing with me. And let's say goodbye to all our listeners and
Toodaloo.
see you next time.
Come see us in Denver.
Adieu. Thank you. Aren't they the cutest? I'm like it was just such a fun interview. Their banter, their back and forth, seeing their dynamic. I know it was like totally cruel of me to be like, what drives you crazy? But I love asking couples that because they're so cute. It's so cute. If you enjoyed that interview and you're enjoying the content of this podcast in general, please consider supporting by sharing with friends or people who you think would be interested in it, sharing on social media, rating it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast, giving a glowing review because it deserves it. And then if you feel so moved and you got a few extra bucks to spare, you can come support on Patreon. We're at patreon.com/sexygalaxypod, and half of the proceeds go to my work with Answer Detroit, a network of sex workers to excite revolution. We're working to decrim and destigmatize sex work, starting in Detroit, but hopefully every fucking where else. So, all right, that's it. I love you all. I really do. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and have a beautiful day. We have to do this part. Tentacle porn is not as interesting on other planets, turns out.